Alright, block is glued up. That's going to have to be an overnight dry. So let's turn our attention back to the blades. These are out of tempering. You notice there's a bunch of carbon buildup on here. Now before we sand it, let me show you how I take care of that. Wire wheel, face shield of course, because these little pieces of brush will fall out of there, fly out of there and hit you in the face. Just like that, it's gone. Sander will take out the rest of it, no problem. Then after you sand, it'll be ready for buffing. No biggie. Got a bunch more to go, so I'll shut up and get to busy. Next step, everything's cleaned up, wire brushed good. I'm going to take the random orbit sander. This is a, what grit is this one? 240. Slick them off real good on both sides, and then they'll be ready to go to the buffer. You could take them straight to the buffer like this, but it's easier to knock off what little bit of whatever's there, then go to the buffer. Makes it easier. So this is going to take about half the morning, so let's get that done. And the block is dried overnight. It's over there, very rough still. I got to trim it, cut it, all that neat stuff. So here we go. I'm not going to bore you through the whole thing, it'll just take a little while. Well, there they are. That was a lot of sanding, but it's done now. Now we've got to polish. All right, let's move the camera over here. To the buffing area, and y'all please excuse the mess, just like the forge area. It's a mess out here. Over here on this end. One day I want to build another room onto the shop just for this, but right now that's not going to happen. Before we get started, I finally broke down and got a proper rake to clean off the pads. And let's do that right quick. Like that. I'm gonna take the first one, take the paring knife, start with a green compound. Start moving in a little bit closer. Now all this will be done all the same way. So I'm not going to go through each and every one. As you do this, it gets hot. Got another water bucket over here. You do have to be careful, it will get away from you. This takes a little practice. Pretty good. Now we'll move over here to this wheel, which is what I call a clean wheel. Doesn't have any compound on it except what comes off of here. It's a clean wheel. Camera's all up in the way. Don't take long for it to get warm, I'll tell you that. Let's see if we can work around here. There we go, just like that. Now the final polish after the handles go on, I'll use a white compound, which is just a polishing type compound. Make it look just a little bit nicer. Bunch more to go. But I love it, I love it, I love it. Sanding and polishing is done. Now keep in mind they'll get one more final polish in the very end. Looking really, really, really good. I got to cover all the blades so I can get the handles cut and put on. Alright, it is the next morning. The 6 steak knives and the paring knife have set up overnight. Here shortly I will get them out of the clamps, drill and pin and shape the handles. Then I will cut and do the big ones. Alright, let's start working on the block for the 10-piece set. Now I've got everything laid out. This is the lower section for the steak knives. What I need to do is mill a groove in there to accommodate 7 knives, 6 steak knives and the paring knife. So instead of using the router and having to change the setup in there, which is set up for handles, why not use the milling machine? Now I've got a 1/2 inch carbide tip router bit in here. I think the router bit will work fine because it's just wood, we're not cutting metal. I've already run it up and down. It's all trammed in so it'll follow my line. What I'm going to do is cut the first pass on each one of them because I want it all to be the same. Then I'll come back and make a second pass. So now I've not tried this before. I've always used the router, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. But if it don't work, y'all will see it with me. So everything's tight. I got it sitting on 2 parallels down there. Everything's level and straight. Depth of cut is about that much. It's 3/32 blades, so it's plenty for that. All right, so let's crank it up. Watch your volume, because this does get loud. And we'll make one cut on here and see how it's going to do. If everything comes apart, we'll have a little bit of excitement. Okay, that seemed to work pretty good. And yes, it makes a mess. Everything in the shop makes a mess. All the tools, that is. And it is raining, so okay, let's take it out. That, my friends, is going to work. Now, like I said, I want them all the same, so I want to make the same cut on each one, and then I'll come back and take this second pass. Now I've got all my pieces laid out right here. Looks a little different than the last time y'all saw it, I think. Got them all numbered, so when they glue back up, like that. Okay, so we'll put that one here. Orient it that way. And we'll set it up there. And continue on, continue on. The next pass I'm going to try a little bit lower RPM. Just to see what it does, but I think it'll work just fine. Alright, when I change the setup and go back to cut this other piece out, we'll see that. Okay, I just moved over to match my line over here. We'll run down through there and see what we get. Okay, we're getting a little uneven cut there. I had to adjust back in the middle. But that'll be just fine. What I'll do is just come in on the top side. Let's loosen up our axis here a little bit, because that won't make any difference, just the part you'll see. Grease off of that lead screw. Just make a straight cut across there, you'll never see it. Will not affect anything. Then a little hand sanding will take care of that. Let's see, but what I did, I got off of my center. Let's go back. Reset. There we go. Now we can run the other pieces. Then we glue it up, let it dry overnight. Alright, all the milling's done. Everything looks good. I'm going to glue this up and clamp it up and let it sit overnight. And spread our glue like this. Have to work pretty quick because this stuff does start to set up, even though it's very cool in here. Still sprinkling rain outside, and that's a good thing. We need it. Get us a bunch put on there. Not a bunch, but enough. Now, if I didn't mention, this is cypress. Florida cypress. Milled at a sawmill not far from here. About 10-15 miles or so. Came out of the swamps around here, more than likely. And I guarantee you an alligator slept next to this at one time during this tree's life. Very good wood, very pretty. It'll darken up a little bit when I put the finish on it. I'm going to use a clear finish on this. Let's take that brush, spread that glue out good so it contacts everything. Okay, keep our numbers lined up. Just like that. Put them together and push them up against here. Alright, may knock the camera over here. Clamps on a little bit loose for now, and I'll show you why in just a second here. like that. We're flat that way. Turn it up. Right there. Where'd it go? That's a hammer. Take our wooden mallet. It looks pretty good. We're gonna have to sand it all flush anyway. That looks good, so we'll put a little bit of torque on that one. A little bit of torque on that one. Okay, it's gonna be good right there. Of course, everything has to be sanded, so okay, that looks good. Now I need to get a wet rag and wipe the excess off, and that'll sit overnight. And I'll see y'all back tomorrow. That's enough for one day. Good morning. Okay, our bottom section of the block has dried overnight. Get it unclamped. Now, bottom section, we're going to trim it. Now, this will be a rough size trim. The edges don't look good, so we're just going to go in the middle and mark. Put our marks. Let's see, now we'll oversize it, just no particular measurement. Probably about 1/8 of an inch bigger than the line, or wider than the other one, and we can sand back to it in the very end, make everything nice and even. Oops. Still early. Have had plenty of coffee though, so all good. That won't matter. Now take this over to the table saw. We'll square these ends, and then when we have a square end here, we can turn it and trim the top and bottom. Then I'll show y'all why I'm waiting to the very end to do the bread knife. It'll make sense here in a little bit. Alright, got it trimmed up a little bit. Still have to sand the faces before I do the cut them apart and mill them. Now, reason the bread knife is last. Okay, these two will sit on top like this, and the bread knife is longer. So I want to have a measurement here that is 9 5/8. So I want to make sure my blade is not longer than that. Okay, make sense now? The last one I did, that was a mistake that I made. It was actually too long. Well, it's still too long, but now we'll fix that one as whenever it's time to fix it. So this one will be here, the bread knife will be here. The cleaver, not enough room to go in like this. So And do these, get them milled out, put together. Then the cleaver is going to go, I'll cut a notch in here, and the cleaver will go in like that. Pretty cool, I think so. So we'll have 3 knives and the cleaver. Okay, let me get the faces sanded, then we'll mark them and cut them and mill them just like we did this. And while this is dry, when I get that done, once this is dried up, the glue is drying, it'll take a while, then I'll get back to work on this and we'll get all that sanded out. Alright, it looks more better now. Okay, we're going to call this the front side. I've got my marks made for the 3 knives. Back to the table saw. Put this side to the fence. Nice and square. Just like we did the other section. Cut it. Mill out the slots. Glue it all back together. I may go ahead and mill this slot too. So I got an idea how to do that, but I think it'll work. And we'll see it again here in just a few minutes. Now, over here at the table saw, this is not going to look safe at all, but I've done this type of thing before, so it'll be fine. I'll show you how I'm going to cut the slot in here, and I hope I can get it deep enough. Take it's going to eyeball it sort of in the center right there. Slide the fence up. Lock it down. I've got my stick in case, but there's no way this can get up here on my hands. I'm just going to run it through, flip it, run it through, and see if that's wide enough. Now this is going to be very noisy, so watch your volume. Okay, first cut. Flip it end to end, that'll center it and should widen it out enough for the blade. We'll see. Always let your saw stop all the way. Now let's go back over here and check it. I think we're going to have to make one more pass, but we'll see. It fits pretty well. But let's make it just a little bit bigger. Let's line our fence up right there. We're just going to widen that slot out just a little bit with one more pass. There we go. Now I'll show you how I'm going to close all the ends up when we get to that point. Let's lay them all back out. I'm reaching over the saw here. There we go. Now we've got to mill the slots in here. 3 slots. We need to measure those out and mill those. This cypress is very, very nice to work with. Alright, got the milling done. It took quite a bit longer than I thought it would. Had to keep readjusting the table. I don't have as much travel on the little milling machine table this way for these, but I got it done. Next time I know, just take the time and set the router table up. It would have been a lot faster, but it's okay. We got very nice, accurate slots in here. Now I'm going to get it glued up, and it will have to sit overnight as well, but in the meantime we'll get back on the small part and the handles. Just regular Titebond wood glue. Glue them up, clamp them up, and move on to the next step. Once I get this, I'll show you a picture of them clamped up. This will probably be the end of part 2. We're going to make it go into a part 3 for the final, because I don't want the video to get too awful long. And once this is clamped up, quite honestly, I am pooped for today. So maybe this evening I'll do some more, but there we go. I'll show you a picture when I get it glued up. There we go, clamped up. Let it dry overnight. And I thank y'all very much for watching. Thank you for your support. And I'll see y'all next time, and we'll finish this thing up.